come up on stage. She's a Doctor of Philosophy, Mysore University. A big round of applause for Suchitra. Could you give me another handheld mic, please?
Can you hear me? Yeah, so louder? Good morning again. We've been hearing of diversity and culture all of yesterday and I think for many months now. So what does diversity and culture mean to all of you? Can I hear anybody? What does it mean? Exactly. To me, diversity conjures up a plethora of images, a riot of colors, a potpourri of myriad spices, the aroma. Can you imagine? The many cuisines, the many people, the many languages, the many attires, and the many genders. Exclusive yet inclusive, unique in its oneness, diverse and beautiful, the many worlds. So, to tell us about the many worlds that she is exploring, both on celluloid and off it, I ask Rupa to talk about her experience.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Rupa.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So, thank you for the opportunity, Sandhya, Lakshmi, Dr. Harbin Arora. I don't know if she's here, but this is amazing to just come here and meet with all of you. Very briefly, I'll tell you, what I've been doing. I have a company called Kahini Media. I'm a documentary filmmaker. And if I have to just go back a little bit, in 2016, I was asked to come to Manipur. There was women's polo happening, and I was asked to come and show my film. I had a previous film, and I was asked to show my film. And I told my parents that I was going to, I'm from Assam, but I live in Mumbai. And I said, I'm going to Manipur. And they said, oh my God, there's atrocities. There's the army doing, all kinds of atrocities there. There's guns, and there's curfew, and then there's all kinds of drugs. No, you're not going. I said, no, but I have to go. I have to go show my film. Then they said, then I didn't even tell them. Then I go there, and yeah, I actually didn't tell them. And here I have a little bit of money that they had saved for me to shoot. There was polo happening, women's polo happening. And they said, we have a little bit of money. We had BBC coming in to shoot, but they're not here, so would you like to shoot? I was already shooting horses before, so I had a little bit of knowledge on that. And I said, sure. So there was a women's team who was playing for the first time, formally. They have played informally for many, many years. And there was a USA team coming in. These were women who were playing polo. Men have played polo in Manipur for about 1,000 years. Manipur is the home of modern polo. Women had started playing to save their horse. They have something called the Manipuri pony. It is an indigenous breed, and the Manipuri pony was going extinct. Yes. And they were playing to save the horse. All these foreign teams were coming in to kind of, spread an international awareness. And I thought this was like a very, very beautiful story where you see women who are not, this is not the elite polo player of Delhi and Jaipur or England or the UK. These are girls who come from, fairly middle class or even, lower middle class backgrounds, and they were here playing a game to save the pony. And I just fell in love with the story. And 4 years later, I made this film called Daughters of the Polo God, which is now going through festivals. But more importantly...
And is winning awards.
Well, thank you. But more importantly, to cut a very long story short, these girls are now into their 5th year of playing. Manipur Tourism, backs the whole tournament for Manipur. Incredible India, which I think is a partner here also. They bring in about 20 to 25 foreign girls a year to play, professional players. And we had Argentina, USA for the 4th time. And then we had UK, Kenya, Canada, Australia. We have a waiting list now of girls who want to come to Manipur and play. I mean, this even in people in Assam didn't know that this was, happening in Manipur till my film. Now, of course, they're getting a lot of publicity. And I also happened to end up, being around the girls, trying to take their cause to a greater level. So I started documenting them every year. That's actually what I did the first year. I did the documentation. This is my 5th year of documentation. And when I got to the 4th year, I'm like, you know what, this story needs to go to the world. So I said, let me at least put the story out to the world, and then, we go to the next level. So if I can just finish in a minute, this is when we talk diversity, when we talk culture. I mean, look at girls. Manipur is like so out there compared to the rest of India. Even in the northeast, Manipur is really out there. Very troubled state. It's it's called the Golden Triangle for drugs. Manipur, Vietnam, Myanmar, and Laos, Cambodia, that area. So all you hear is negative. But then there are women there who are doing amazing work, to get their ponies up there and playing with the Argentinian girls. Argentina is like the mecca for polo. And they put something called, when I went to the Argentinian consulate and I said, I want an Argentinian team to come, they said, what, we'll send you our best team. And I was like, yes, you're very nice, but, they're coming to Manipur. They put something called the Manipur Cup in Argentina. Wow. And 13 girls teams participated.
Wow.
And one obviously was selected and they came in. So anyway, so this is a story of women who are, in a very different part of the world, but they also feel empowered because they are empowering the pony. So it's a back and forth. It's just not like, these foreign players are coming and patronizing. There's a whole system of empowerment that is happening. So yes, thank you so much.
That's such an interesting story. So Ravi, would you say this thing about women having to support animals having to support women, or women genders, all empowerment, would you say is it only in Manipur, or from your experience, you have been in the Middle East, you have been in India, you've worked with companies in Japan. What is your experience? What is your opinion on this?
Thank you, all of you. Very happy good morning to you. It's been a very energetic half last evening, and this morning is absolutely no exception. I'm humbled that I'm here sharing the podium with some great people on and off the stage. To get to that, women, animals, animal, women. So this is my little attempt at humor.
Okay.
The animals are called men, and they're always supportive of men, women. So you already have a symbiotic relationship, whether it is two or four-legged. So that if that works well, I think that's a good thing to do. But look at this. You want me, somebody who's been part of corporate life, and my examples or the little storytelling 3 minutes that I have is very tame compared to what we just heard from Rupa. This is about bringing in multiple situations where certain things in our culture or in the length of the cultural time is going away, and there is an attempt in a dot in the map, even within India, where such depth of work is happening. You have the indigenous Manipur pony. There is 1,000 years of polo history in that state amongst the people. And you have an attempt here in 2010, 2012, where you want to recreate and bring back the values of that sport, the value of inclusivity with women. So there is, I think, a lot for us to take away and decide within our own micro communities, can we replicate something? I think that will give both Rupa, and I know a little bit about how she started this journey when we spoke last evening. So I think there are people like this, and all and WF, these are great forums to bring such talent out for the rest of us to learn. So that's my takeaway as far as I'm concerned. I'm fulfilled with the time and the focus that you are all providing. Kudos to all of you, Dr. Harbin Arora, all the rest of you, and I've been a participant in some of these, so I really enjoy what you're doing.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you.
So now to the bell is, the whistle is already blowing. Let me keep it to 2-3 things. In the earlier session, there was 2 things that I thought are relevant to our session. One was the way teaching has been done by those 2 lovely ladies. One was a professor and assistant vice chancellor. Both of them spoke about how you need to nurture students from diverse backgrounds, cultures, different lands, and the feeling of alienation. So that is about cultural divide. So culture and diversity has so many good things that we can talk about, but sometimes if we don't have empathy, and that's something that came up, without empathy, without understanding of my viewpoint, my background, my culture, I'm going to feel an alien if I transport myself into another culture, and which is education. And therefore, people in the young age, in their 20s, when they come out of their hometown to a city, or if they come from one country to the other, the feeling of alienation is acute. And a small point here, there are a lot of African students from various parts of Africa who are in many parts of India who are students. In about 20-25 years back, there were a lot of Iranian students, people from Iran. And we have a very symbiotic relationship with the Middle East, where a lot of students are here. In the south, you will see a lot of Maldivian students studying in Kerala. So we have a history of imparting education to the world. But how well we include them in our societies is a matter for thought. If you'll see that we say we are cosmopolitan, we say India absorbs all cultures, but in our current modern society, we seem to have lost a bit of that. They live in their little cocoons. They live within their own communities, even within that large city. There isn't inclusiveness. So those are some negatives, and then you hear the media talking about extreme negative action, etc. But by and large, if you delve a little bit more, why is therefore so many people coming from so many lands to India? Is it because we have the world's best quality of education, or we are in that grade in ABC? No, we could have excellence there, but they come because we possibly are a very, very inclusive society. We talk about the negatives, but we forget that whether it is food, whether it is food, I can give you an example that there is an Ethiopian dish which is very similar to the South Indian dosa.
Injera.
Injera. There you have. So we can talk about how the difference in food is, and we cannot manage. But you have to look at this. If you have injera, it's called dosa. And you are at home immediately when you have injera after 10 days of having different food. So there is comfort in diversity here, if only we keep our minds and heart open to touch upon it and absorb it. I have 2 anecdotes.
Can I come back to you?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll come back to you after we've heard our very talented Dr. Suchitra Kaul Mishra. She, with others whom she will talk about, has come out with a book, Thus She Spake. Suchitra, would you care to tell us about how you got the idea, from the journey from the idea to the book?
Yes, definitely. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, yes. And this was a project that started after WEF last year. WEF inspired us. We have a chapter in Bangalore. We have about 20 plus chapters. I lead the Karnataka chapter. We have an all Karnataka readers and writers chapter. And we thought, let's do a collaborative writing project. So in our meets, we started discussing what is impacting us? What do we want to talk about? And together, we decided and picked on the theme, Women in Mythology.
So interesting.
Then, over our chats, over our meets, we said, let's pick specific women who we want to make our muse. Let's get into the skin of their characters. We all started doing it, and then 7 of us really got serious. And there was the imagination phase. We loved it. And then we started seeing the world through the eyes of these women whom we chose as our muse. Writing happened eventually. And we found an editor within our group.
Wow.
We found an illustrator within our group, and we're going to introduce
hear
you
it
to
for
her
them.
shortly. There is Bharti Sagar here. Bharti, if you'll please stand up. She's the lady who gave life to our stories. Yes. And after a year, we are here back to present this book, which dearest Harbeen is going to release, and she's going to get the first copy today.
Before I go to Rupa, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You said from mythology. So how much myth is there in mythology?
Okay, very good question. And I think a very good grounding was given yesterday in the fabulous conversation Harbeen had with Amish Tripathi. And he so beautifully explained that mythology, the myth comes from mythos, and it's actually the narrative that uplifts us, that gives us a philosophy, and we choose to do that. Now, I want to give you an example of Hanuman Chalisa. A lot of us will be doing it, right? And there is this part where it says, Yug Sahasra Yogan Bhanu. No? So the Yug is the period. We have different yugs, Satyug, and then Treta, Dwapar, and Kalyug. So that's a period. In the Vedic text, it extends for 12,000 years. Okay? Sahasra, everybody knows, is already 1,000. Yes? And Yojan is actually 8 miles. Bhanu is the sun. Okay? Now you multiply and do the maths. So you do 12,000 into 1,000 and into 8. You'll get 96 million miles. Okay? Convert it into kilometers, 1.6 kilometers, and you'll get about 154 million kilometers, which is scientifically the figure of the distance of our Earth from the sun. And it's said so simply and so accurately. So where is the myth?
Right, thank you. Very interesting. Very interesting. So, Rupa, you were telling us about the polo girls in Manipur. Do tell us a little more about your experiences. She is speaking about people from the mythology, the characters, and we will come back to the characters soon. But tell us about your experiences elsewhere. You have also traveled the world over.
Sure. Just to continue on hers for a bit, it's interesting when I went back there and I started shooting, they have the same mythologies as the Greek. They have the flying horse and Pegasus, and then, he fell to the earth, and this is how the polo horse was created. And the interesting thing that I have seen with them and with all the sports, that I have done abroad, with all the polo that I'm following around, is that it is a 360-degree culture of sport. It's not a sport. My boy plays football, and the way I send him to football is like he goes out of the house, he plays football, and he comes back. I am disconnected. As a mother, of course, I take care of his football needs, but at a very spiritual level, I don't have a connect to sport. But then when I see these kind of athletes, and I've now been following a lot of athletes around the world playing the sport, there's a very 360-degree connect, which is spiritual, which is physical, which is mental, spatial. They go from home to the horse, to the temple, to the sport, to the thing. It's a 360-degree. So it comes back to the thing that if you're doing something at a level that you're actually excelling, it is not just a matter of pushing somebody out and getting that person to play and come back. You have to be in that, it is mindfulness.
Immerse yourself.
Yes, it's mindfulness. Like as somebody said, you have to be in it at the present. I think that's a little giveaway I got. And especially when you're interacting with animals. They don't know yesterday, they don't know tomorrow. You have to be there at the moment.
And so beautiful.
This is something that was like a big takeaway for me. Yeah.
For us too, I think, we never really thought in that perspective, that there is no yesterday or tomorrow for animals.
There is memory, but the horse will only behave like you see all these embarrassing moments when there's a lineup. There's like the consulate general sitting there, the ambassador, this and that, the governor of the town, and the horse is not behaving. They're out there lined up, the army band is playing, and we are all in our silly hats, whatever silly hats you can do in Manipur, and the horse just doesn't behave. Now what do? And you see these polo players, and I love equestrian athletes for that. And I'm sure it's all athletes that deal with animals. They have to just basically take rounds and just calm the horse down and bring back. And if he doesn't listen, take another round and come back, because now you have to speak that language, which is very basic animal language. And that is what we all are. So what do you do? And this is a very interesting thing that I discovered. And you know, and think about it, like, you know, we are so preconditioned.
Right.
You just have to bring down those layers, you know, when you have to go and, you know, and this is it. This
Delve
is
into
nature.
character.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, when she said they have to take the horses around to calm them down, it reminds me of Sufism, you know, going around to calm yourself down. So from that anecdote, Ravi, I will give you an opportunity to tell us about your anecdotes. Share them with us.
You see, the bar has been set very high, so mine will be only a minor attempt to try to reach there. And let's bring a little humor, corporate life, how we see things, and your own
You
baggage.
have been an entrepreneur. You are an entrepreneur. You have been an entrepreneur as well. So
I pretend to be one.
a successful one, and he says he pretends to be one.
So here I am in my early stage of my career, which is many thousand moons ago, working for a American company. I'll name it. I'm very proud of that association, Xerox, of those days. And so you are trained in a particular manner. You are so your meetings, for example, in an American environment that you import here is you have a start time, and they say there is a hard stop. So you start at 9 and you are having a hard stop at 1, and that's it. And you need to be precise on the agenda. And number 2 is you get your numbers right. So it's a crunchy, oriented, time-oriented, specific kind of a meeting. I spent about 8 years there, and then I moved into a Japanese company. And I get, within my first week, invite for a meeting which says start time 8:30 a.m. There is no end time. So I write back with my superior intellect to say, what time are we going to end? And where is the agenda? There's no agenda. So I don't get a response at all. It's all silent out there. And I enter the meeting, and we finish the next day at 2 a.m.
Why?
So here is both are outcome oriented. In the earlier system, it's about getting things done on time. With the Japanese, it is about getting something done. Till you fix it, you don't move.
Wow.
So here is a complete challenge to someone who cannot appreciate it till you get immersive. And that's the earlier session where somebody talked about experiential learning, immersion, etc. So you need to know that Japanese way of life. And how did I get friendly and to understand more about that culture? Many Japanese and some Indians like me do some bad things, like we smoke. So it took multiple sessions of sitting down with them to really nail it, that, you know, this is the way this organization and all of us are expected to behave. So I'm just giving you this as an example to say that the commitment levels are no different amongst different cultures, different people, different walks of life, but the approaches are very different. And the need for all of us as global citizens to appreciate those differences is the way we will contribute towards making our societies inclusive. And I'm touching on this because there's a need more than ever in India with such diversity to be inclusive, and which means appreciating another point of view.
Thank you. Yes, indeed. And now I'm going over to Suchitra to tell us more about how they decided on the characters, who are the characters, and why she chose a particular character.
Well, you already laid the foundation with immersion, and that's exactly what we did. We immersed into our muse, and then we saw, felt, observed, and were totally into their skin as much as possible. In fact, I was simulating the same scenario and even writing occasionally whenever I remembered to write. in those moonlit nights because my character was Radha. Okay.
So
We have-
can you just tell the audience who Radha is
Yes.
for
Right.
benefit of the international audience?
Yes, well, they'll have to read the book because then Radha tells her own story in the book.
Just
Yes.
Radha
You've
as a
all heard of
character.
Krishna. Everybody is attracted to the mystique of Krishna. And Radha is his love. So Radha is Krishna so much that he's now called Radha Krishna. So that's Radha for you. But we have 4 other characters. Our chairperson of Karnataka Readers and Writers, she writes under the name of A.R. Sara. She's the one who really inspired us and drove us to do this. And she chose a character who has not yet spoken ever, I think, because many of you also may not be knowing that Shiva had a daughter. Before Ganesha and Kartikeya, Shiva had a daughter. So she writes about Ashok Sundari, the child goddess in training. You'll read her story here. Then, of course, there's Radha, who is a teenager and who crosses the boundaries in love of time and space. You know, she's there forever, enshrined in our heart today, actually. And then you have Urvi. Urvi is also very less spoken about. She's Karan's wife, Urvi, at crossroads, having to take decisions in life transitions, and we can relate to that. Our chairperson of all Karnataka coaching is Anu Krishna, and she was saying, hey, my surname is Krishna, but you're writing on Radha. She chose Urvi. I said, well, I didn't mind Karan also. He's quite a favorite.
Mine too.
Yes. And then there is Sandhya, a very enthusiastic all-member. She chose Surupnaka. You know, Surupnaka is in her middle age. She's a scarred princess. And she hails from the clan of Rishis because she's Ravan's sister. And she's so pivotal in Ramayana because she just comes for a fleeting moment but then changes the whole course of history. So she also has a redemption and her story needs to be told. So we're doing that here. And last but not the least is Gandhari. Gandhari, if you're familiar with her, the queen in Kauravas, and she's talking about her twilight years. So these are the 5 characters. They speak with a lot of clarity. They speak unapologetically. They tell you their story, and it's going to be yours to read very soon.
Thank you. I can't wait to read that. Yeah, thank you so much. It has been so interesting, and I wish we had more time, but we have to now move on over to Mansi.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was such a stirring, thought-provoking panel with all of your views. I think we were on a journey from the microcosm to the macrocosm. We went from the Japanese subculture to horses, to cinema, to mythology. Thank you for taking us on that beautiful journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Rupa. And thank you, Suchitra. And thank you, all of you.
We'd like to offer you small tokens of our affection for your time and the work that you do. I invite Dr. Harbeen Arora to give away to. We invite Rupa Barua to accept this honor as an exceptional woman of excellence at the Women Economic Forum at Day 2 in New Delhi, 2019. Inviting Mr. K.S. Ravishankar to accept this honor as an exceptional leader of excellence. And for also being the man behind a successful sister. For those who don't know, he is the substantial half of Lakshmi. There we go. If we could, we're going to have a special unraveling. I invite Lakshmi and Bharti ji, please, to join us on the stage for this special moment to join Dr. Harbeen Arora in bringing to the world, Thus She Spake. A very, very special moment. This is Bharati Sagar. She is a very well-known illustrator who has been kind enough to offer the illustrations in this book. Yes. And Harbeen has been extremely generous in offering a beautiful foreword to their book. Please grab your copy.
The copy is available today actually at the store, this whole week at the Bio-Ayurveda store on the first floor and also on Amazon. So
I invite Sandhya, Ravi, Rupa, please join us for a group photograph with the releasing of Thus She Spake.
I really want to congratulate the fact that it all started at the WEF last year, and again, like I was speaking about the Australian delegation, which was led by Shar, that they made a commitment and they lived through it and they didn't let the commitment drop. And the fact that you, like you said in the conversation with Amish, it was really, the tone was set. For us, these are not just characters. In Indian civilizations, our mythology, like Suchitra said, where is the myth, is we don't refer to them as myths or unreal, just stories. They are actually, there's a word for it in our civilization which says they are our itihas. And itihas in India means much more than history as it happened. I mean, it happened, but it's also a whole complex of how to put what happened in a story, to remember, to recall what conduct should we have in our life, how should we govern, what should get passed on as the empowering ideals to the next generation. So it's a whole meta mix of chronology, history, storytelling, and codes of principles which are codified. In India, we have codification for everything. And so it is very, very special to us when you invoke. What I'll do, I'll just read a paragraph from my foreword. I won't read the whole, we don't have the time. But just to give our international audience an understanding and appreciation of what this means to us. As legendary divine beings in our culture, curating perspectives on the feminine, Radha, Urvi, Shrupnakha, Gandhari, Ashok Sundari are a part of folklore. Layered in our collective consciousness, these figures hold immense sway over our imagination and influence our processing of the human experience. Beautiful. Yet, to learn afresh, we must reclaim, and this is about reclaiming our humanity, right? The theme is, it's a part of that. Yet to learn afresh, we must reclaim our personal connection with them and refresh our reading through the lens of our own quests and questionings. In doing so, we heal our own hearts and also fill the gaps of understanding between genders and generations. So I think they've done a wonderful, wonderful job. And what is most heartening to me, it is not authors, it is women like you and I who simply opened our hearts to listen to ourselves and listen to each other and have that conviction and faith in ourselves and self-belief to say, yeah, this is what I feel and this is what I'm going to pour out. So it's so sincere, it's so simple, so pure, and of course, all that is going to heal and uplift all of us. So congratulations, all of you.
That was absolutely wonderful.